Hey everyone, Kyle Walker here. If you love cars, fixing things, or just want to understand your vehicle better, you're in the right place. I share hands-on tips, smart driving advice, and straight-up car talk without the fluff. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick around till the end. You don't want to miss what's coming up. Let's get into it.
Years ago, xenon headlights were a rarity on our roads. Cars with bright white or blue light were perceived as a symbol of luxury, belonging to the elite class. Today, the situation has changed dramatically, but, unfortunately, Bi-Xenon headlights have not yet become a global lighting standard. Nevertheless, such equipment can be purchased in any more or less large auto store at quite a democratic cost and installed on your car. But how legal is the installation of Bi-Xenon headlights in our country, and whether you can perform the operation of their installation yourself? A question that remains poorly understood. We will try to fill this glaring gap. What is Bi-Xenon? We are already used to the fact that the principle of operation of lighting devices can be different. Incandescent lamps are now being confidently replaced by other, more economical sources of light, gas discharge lamps. And it is to this class belongs xenon and Bi-Xenon optics have been known for a long time. Until now they were used mainly for street lighting, but now there is their active introduction into the automotive industry. The name of the lamps indicates what inert gas is used in their manufacture. The lamp itself is a glass bulb into which xenon is pumped under high pressure. Ignition is accomplished by two electrodes that are connected to the ignition unit, which is a high-voltage power supply. Now let's look at how Bi-Xenon works. In essence, the light generated by a xenon lamp is the burning of an arc in a medium filled with inert gas. It can be said that this process is somewhat similar to the arc given by a welding machine. Unlike incandescent lamps, the electrodes are not affected in any way because inert gas is called so because it does not react with the surrounding materials, unlike oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, and other gases present in atmospheric air. Such an arc burns for a short period of time and therefore needs a constant current supply and the voltage generated by the power supply unit must be of the order of 60-80 V. And since the onboard network operates at 12 V, it is the PSU is responsible for the multiple amplification of current characteristics. And this requires a certain amount of time. So the work of xenon headlight can be imagined not as a constant burning, but as a continuous series of discharges occurring with such frequency that we do not notice it. Compared to halogen lamps, xenon lamps are much safer and more economical. Their average service life is about 2,000 to 3,000 hours. It is about 3 to 4 years with daily 2-3 hour operation. To install such lamps in the car requires a special lens. Without it, the light will be so intense that it will dazzle drivers of oncoming vehicles. Bi-Xenon headlights differ from xenon headlights in that their design includes a special curtain through which the direction of the beam changes. This means that Bi-Xenon can be used to generate both near and far light, while xenon optics can only shine in one direction. Advantages of using Bi-Xenon headlights. Today, quite a large number of models and top-end configurations are equipped with xenon/Bi-Xenon optics. And this is not a matter of prestige. Such lighting equipment has a large number of important advantages over other car lamps. Economy. We have already noted that their MTBF is at least twice as high as that of conventional lamps. Brightness, another advantage of xenon light sources. They form a beam of 3,000 to 32,000 lumens against 15,000 lumens of halogens, which significantly increases comfort. For drivers, xenon lamps are also about twice as durable as halogen lamps. Low power consumption is achieved due to the discrete operation of the power supply unit. And here the savings are also approximately twofold. Excellent visibility in fog. In this respect, Bi-Xenon optics is even better than shortwave LED optics, because Bi-Xenon shines in such a way that it does not generate a whitish shroud in front of the car. Thanks to the use of special lenses, dazzle drivers traveling in the oncoming lane does not occur. And this is with much better illumination of the roadway. The main disadvantage of Xenon/Bi-Xenon is the high cost of such kits, which makes automakers refuse to install them on budget cars. Among other disadvantages, the following can be noted. Complexity of installation. To install such optics on your car, you need to be well versed in electrical engineering, Connection schemes for Bi-Xenon headlights are quite complex. Not all cars can be installed. On such lighting equipment, the headlamp must have a marking with the letter K, otherwise you will have to change the entire set of headlamps. Finally, the installation of Bi-Xenon on cars, the design of which does not provide for their use, is prohibited in accordance with the traffic rules. Legislative restrictions. Most of the disadvantages of Bi-Xenon optics in principle allows their use, except for the last point. The fact is that, according to Part 03 of paragraph 12.05 of the Administrative Code of the Russian Federation, the operation of cars on which light optics are installed that do not meet the established standards for the mode of operation, beam color, and other characteristics is not allowed. The penalty for this violation provides for the seizure of such lighting equipment, which in itself is unpleasant due to its high cost, and deprivation of the vehicle license for a period of 0.5 to 1 year. It should be noted that the period of time for which a driver's license is deprived is determined only by the court. At the same time, the protocol of the offense, drawn up by the employees of the stationary/mobile post of the traffic police, must contain the following information: data on the vehicle and the driver, full name, date, time of fixation of the offense, which paragraph of the Code of Administrative Offenses was violated, signatures of the driver and the traffic police officer. The protocol must be supplemented with a reconciliation act of lighting equipment, as well as a copy of the certificate certifying the compliance of the equipment used for inspection. According to the law, the seizure of illegally installed lighting devices is made at the time of detection of the violation. With this is drawn up an appropriate act, which lists what exactly was seized with the fixation of photo or video equipment or in the presence of two witnesses. The protocol will subsequently be transferred to the court to determine the degree of guilt of the car owner. It should be noted that there is no monetary penalty for such violations, except for cases when xenon optics are installed on cargo vehicles owned by a legal entity. Usually, drivers of motorcycles are deprived of their license for a longer period of time for installing xenon on their own, as this type of vehicles is considered more dangerous than cars/trucks. So the question of whether Bi-Xenon is allowed remains open. It all depends on how correctly it was installed. Of course, if such lighting equipment is standard for a particular model of car, no penalties are out of the question. Ways to legalize xenon. Let us describe the scheme that allows you to install xenon optics on your car without violating the law. The first thing you need to do, to obtain permission for such actions on the part of a specialized organization, usually NAMI, the body dealing with certification of automotive equipment. For this purpose, an application is drawn up, which contains the following data: full name of the car owner or the head of the company, make/model of the vehicle, a copy of the vehicle passport, description of the equipment to be installed on the car. On the basis of this application is a preliminary examination of the possibility of installing equipment on the car of the applicant, the cost of which, about 4,000 rubles. Read also, adjustment of the hydrocorrector headlights of the car. If the results of the examination are positive, the car owner receives a corresponding conclusion. It should be noted that verification of compliance of lighting equipment with regulatory requirements is carried out after the installation work has been carried out. With the conclusion of the examination, it is necessary to apply to the traffic police. The following information is specified in the application for the conversion of the car. What changes are supposed to be made to the design of the vehicle, make/model of the Bi-Xenon kit, including lamps, high-voltage ignition units, washers, light correctors, data on the vehicle being modified, information about the car owner. After consideration of the application by the traffic police, the document is marked with a mark indicating the possibility/impossibility of installing Bi-Xenon optics. Together with the application, the relevant package of documents is submitted to the State Automobile Inspectorate, including passport of the car owner and the vehicle, registration certificate, preliminary expert opinion. If the traffic police has authorized the installation of xenon on your car, it remains to purchase and install it. And when buying lighting equipment, it is important to have certificates for the purchased products. Otherwise, the results of the conformity assessment will be negative. The installation itself can be done either in a car service center Usually the duration of the procedure is 1 to 3 days, or independently. In the latter case, it is necessary to follow the established procedure that requires the installation of additional equipment. The process of installing xenon headlights with their own hands we will describe later, but in any case, after such work is required, to fill out a declaration which reflects the amount of work performed and other information. If the work was not performed by their own forces, it is necessary to specify the name and details of the car service center, number of the certificate and license of the authorized organization that issued the conclusion on the possibility of retrofitting the vehicle, details of the vehicle that has been converted, description of the changes made to the vehicle design with indication of the make/model of the installed equipment, an indication of the conformity of the vehicle after the modifications to the expert opinion. The final stages of legalization of xenon lighting equipment are passing the technical inspection, on the basis of which the car owner receives a conclusion confirming the compliance of the modified vehicle with the established requirements, after which it will be necessary to obtain a registration certificate with the changes made. Carrying out a technical inspection will require the provision of the above list of documents, including a receipt for payment of the relevant state duty. The inspection of a car during a technical inspection will consist of the following: establishing the fact of technical serviceability of the vehicle, checking the compliance of license plates and identification marks, verification of compliance of the mounted lighting equipment with the submitted documentation, verification of the correctness of installation and adjustment works. If there are no remarks to the technical condition of the car owner will receive a diagnostic card, which is the main document, confirming the serviceability of the car in general and the new equipment in particular. Finally, having a diagnostic card, you can apply to the traffic police to obtain a certificate confirming that the headlight modification complies with the regulatory requirements. This document is a guarantee that you will not be held administratively liable for installing Bi-Xenon headlights, which means that the certificate should always be in the car. But if you make the appropriate changes to the registration certificate of the vehicle, the certificate may not be presented. To do this, you should apply to the Department of the State Automobile Inspectorate with the appropriate application and a full set of documents. The procedure itself is quite fast, no longer than 45 to 60 minutes. In the modified registration certificate in the special marks column, it is indicated that the vehicle has been converted for the use of xenon/Bi-Xenon headlights of a certain design. In the process of xenon legalization, the car owner may encounter a number of difficulties. Not all retail establishments can provide certificates for the sets of lighting equipment you are interested in, because they do not cooperate directly with manufacturers or official dealers. Particularly should be careful when buying such equipment online. Without certificates, which is issued for all components of the sets, ignition units, lamps themselves, etc., it will not be possible to legalize xenon. One more difficulty is related to filling in the declaration when installing it yourself. Any error or inaccuracy in the description can lead to a refusal to grant permission for the conversion of head optics. Many car owners do not pay enough attention to the procedure for proper adjustment of the light signaling system after installation of xenon, which may affect the passing of technical inspection. As you can see, the procedure of legalization of Bi-Xenon optics may require a lot of effort and time from the motorist, but we have not announced the cost of such an operation. Approximate list of paid services with the indication of cost. The price of issuing a preliminary expert opinion depends on both the pricing policy of the company and the region. In the periphery, cheaper, and is 3,000 to 5,000 rubles. The cost of the lighting equipment itself, together with additional equipment, can also vary in a fairly wide range, from 10 to 50,000 rubles, when installing. In a car service center, you will have to pay about 5,000 rubles. Adjustment service costs approximately 1,000 rubles, obtaining a certificate of conformity for each component. 500 rubles. Cost of notarization of copies of issued certificates of conformity for lighting equipment. From 2.5 thousand rubles. Service of technical inspection, 700 and more rubles. Making changes to the regs certificate and PTS, 500 rubles. Thus, the installation of Bi-Xenon headlights will cost you 21 to 60,000 rubles. You can save about 6,000 rubles on the very procedure of installation/adjustment of Bi-Xenon. What to pay attention to when buying Bi-Xenon. Since xenon lamps are produced only at enterprises equipped with high-tech and expensive specialized equipment with the use of complex technological cycles, even semi-artisanal their production, not to mention artisanal, is virtually impossible, and this is strongly reflected in the final cost of the equipment. Presented in the domestic market, xenon/Bi-Xenon lighting automotive devices can be conditionally divided into two large categories. Products of well-known brands of European, Japanese, and North American manufacturers, Hella, Philips, Osram, Matsushita, L. Koito, which by definition cannot cost cheap. Products of less well-known Asian companies, mainly Chinese and Malaysian, representing the budget class of devices with the appropriate level of quality. As standard, cars are factory-fitted with predominantly high-quality xenon optics characterized by the following properties: long service life and corresponding warranty obligations, protection against short circuits and electrical circuit breaks, short time of switching to normal operation mode, about 3 to 4 seconds. The quality of inexpensive products is much worse. Operating resource rarely exceeds 2 years, average indicator, 10 to 14 months. No protection of the electric circuit against voltage surges and short circuits. Possible incomplete correspondence of ignition units to brand name bulbs at the level of technical characteristics, which additionally reduces the resource of products. Time to enter. The operating mode is significantly higher, about 20 seconds. In some cases, it may take up to 150 seconds to warm up. Of course, the savings in such cases looks very doubtful. However, many car owners are guided not so much by the arguments of economic feasibility as by their current financial capabilities, giving preference to options that are in a more affordable price category. In any case, you should take into account how global the upcoming changes will be. If there is a simple replacement of standard bulbs or ignition units, even if you choose expensive equipment, it will be quite feasible for most car owners. But if you need to install xenon from scratch, this is a qualitatively different level of costs. What do I need to pay special attention to? Look closely at the designation of the base of the Bi-Xenon lamp. Usually in our market are products labeled H1/H4, which are suitable for most modern car models. But it is better not to risk, and be sure to study the user manual, so as not to make a mistake when choosing. Note that sometimes even on the same car left/right headlights can be equipped with different sockets. As an example, you can take Audi A3, in which the optics of the low beam is equipped with a base of type H7, high beam, H1, fog lights, H3. Read also, how to make an organizer in the car with your own hands example of wiring diagram Bi-Xenon. When we talked about purchasing a set of xenon headlights, we also mentioned in passing the need to purchase additional equipment. We meant the components necessary to connect the xenon optics to the onboard circuit of the car. This is, strictly speaking, a stage that is performed separately from the actual installation of headlights and has a number of peculiarities. Before proceeding to describe the scheme for connecting Bi-Xenon, it makes sense to consider the graph of the dependence of current strength on voltage when operating a standard xenon lamp. Turning on xenon is a multi-stage process, including ignition stage, absorption mode, warming up, preparatory stage, exit to the stationary mode. At the moment of ignition, the base is supplied with the standard 12A, and the total consumption of the ignition unit is about 150-160 W. After ignition, it drops to 60 W, and after entering the operating mode, 45 W. The use of low-quality wiring can adversely affect the operation of the unit because it does not have the reserve necessary to work. In rapidly changing modes, the difference in voltage spikes can reach 25 kV, current consumption, up to 15A. In addition, cheap Chinese wires are subject to rapid oxidation of connectors, which leads to inoperability of the PD already several months after installation. So here is an example of the correct scheme, but not the only one, for connecting xenon headlights. As you can see, the ignition units are powered by separate wires through a fuse, and the wiring diagram also includes a power relay. The power is supplied to the input in portions. Such a scheme is considered almost ideal. Not completely ideal, because at microscopic mismatch of capacitor-capacitance characteristics and relay windings there will be a barely noticeable delay between switching on the left and right headlights. To implement such a circuit, the following components will need to be purchased: 2 fuses, together with fuse holders, rated 20A. Power relays rated 30A, 2 capacitors of 1,500 microfarads rating, 16 volt, 2 connectors with the appropriate base, for diodes of 1N4007 type, by means of which the lamps are decoupled for operation in the dipped/distance light mode, wires with cross-section of at least 1.5 mm 2, power supply to the BR, and 0.5 mm 2 for connection of other consumers. Terminals for relays, terminals for connecting the wiring to the battery for PCS. A common variation of this scheme is its simplified version, which uses one power relay that powers both ignition units. However, this increases the risk of burning relay contacts, which leads to sticking and inoperability of the device as a whole. Mounting Bi-Xenon lamps. Before starting to connect Bi-Xenon with your own hands, it is necessary to make sure that the purchase set corresponds to the standard installation dimensions. Checking the compliance of dimensions of Xenon/Bi-Xenon lamps is the same regardless of the type of base used. Let's consider, for example, a lamp with a base of type H4. It has a length of 56.0 millimeters and a diameter of 15.0 millimeters. If in the headlight of your car the distance from the seat to the diffuser is less than the length of the lamp, its installation becomes almost impossible, and you will have to go to the store to replace the equipment, and not always sellers are willing to take such a step. What you will need to perform installation work: standard set of tools, screwdrivers, pliers, duct tape, alcohol-based cleaning agent. Observance of safety precautions during self-installation of xenon headlights is a must. It is necessary to stop installation if either the ignition unit or the lamp itself has been damaged during the work. It is strictly forbidden to work with wet hands or tools, as this increases the risk of damage to the equipment itself and electrocution of the operator. Before starting work, carefully inspect the wiring for damage, and after completion, check that the contact group is secure. At all stages of work with Bi-Xenon lamps, handle them as carefully and gently as possible, avoiding scratches or contamination of the bulb surface. It is strictly forbidden to check the performance of the equipment components without connected headlights, as the operation of Bi-Xenon headlamps is connected with high operating temperatures. It is not allowed to place flammable liquids, e.g., fuel, near the optics during installation works. If during installation you took the bulb with your hands, these places should be wiped with alcohol solution. And now let's consider the algorithm describing how to connect the Bi-Xenon with your own hands. According to the above scheme, connect only one side to the battery. Check the operability of the optics. If switching from dip to high beam does not occur, you should rearrange the diode, reversing the polarity of its leads. If this manipulation also did not yield results, you should replace the diode. Most likely, it is defective. Although it is possible that when assembling the circuit you have made another error in connecting the components of lighting equipment. If everything works, reassemble the right headlight in the same way. The possible problems here will be the same. Note that in most cases there are 2 possible symptoms indicating problems in the assembly of high-voltage lighting equipment. Either it does not work at all, or there is no switching between high/low beam, or it is mixed up. Diagnosing the system includes the following items. Start the engine and turn on the headlight. Check that the lighting mode switching is correct and working properly, paying attention to the fact that there is a long time delay between switching on both headlamps. It is also necessary to test the color temperature of the light beam generated by the Bi-Xenon lamps. The error between the actual and declared by the manufacturer indicators should be within 500 K. If the connection of Bi-Xenon lenses was successful and the performance of the headlights is satisfactory, it is necessary to perform the correct adjustment of the beam direction. How to do this can be found on the internet. Finally, here are some tips that will allow you to prolong the life of Bi-Xenon. It is strictly forbidden to touch energized elements of lighting equipment. 25 kV is lethal. Bi-Xenon should only be switched on after the engine has been started, otherwise you will quickly drain the battery. And the entire headlamp may also fail. Turn on the headlights only when necessary. Considering the cost of Bi-Xenon equipment, its resource is very important. A dirty lens is a factor that increases the dispersion of the light beam, which can cause dazzling of oncoming vehicles. So try to keep your optics clean. Do not forget to periodically check the correctness of the focus of the light beam, if necessary. Make appropriate adjustments. As you can see, it is not difficult to connect Xenon/Bi-Xenon headlights to your car with your own hands. It is enough to have minimal knowledge in electrical engineering. It is much more difficult to legalize such optics. Of course, the cost factor also plays an important role. So it is the last two factors and are the main obstacle to the mass distribution of Xenon equipment in the automotive industry. In conclusion, installing Bi-Xenon headlights can significantly enhance your vehicle's visibility and overall aesthetic. By following the steps outlined in this video, you can ensure a successful installation while improving your driving experience. Remember to double-check all connections and settings before hitting the road. If you found this guide helpful, consider subscribing for more automotive tips and tutorials. Safe driving.